Welcome to Wisdom Wednesday number 91. You can free your past trauma. Question. I have a lot of past trauma that I want to release so I can make better decisions for my future. I still get triggered regularly because the trauma hasn't dissolved after all these years. What is the secret to clearing past trauma? Okay, first of all, trauma occurs and your body, mind, emotional body is not able to handle the impact of the overwhelm of all this information, the betrayal, the hurt, the pain, the mind goes confused. So there's a shutdown that happens and a disconnect that happens. You end up leaving your body. So you are no longer a whole individual. You have separated yourself. So there's a part of you that cannot handle what just occurred. So you leave. Now, in that leaving, it over the years, because you have to move on in life, you suppress that memory and that pain. And so every time there's a trauma that happens, you're suppressing another part of yourself. And then it gets more and more buried. But it's not completely buried because you are now projecting this into your life, and it comes out in the form of behaviors and patterns, and not life-supporting patterns. They end up being sabotaging patterns. And that's probably why you want to get free of it, because you're being controlled by the trauma, which is the part that left you. And you're not a whole being. So what happens is you become a split personality almost. And you go into these triggered trauma events, and you're no longer your whole individual self. So what's important here is that as a regular whole individual, you want to practice watching your mind and watching your thoughts and watching your emotions and watching your patterns. But when this happens, when trauma happens, you lose the watcher. You go into, you forget that you can watch these things and be detached. That even though, like as a whole individual, like someone who is relatively grounded in life, they could have a trauma happen to them, but they could watch it and not have it affect them so deeply. And this is where you want to go to. So as a therapist, as a past trauma therapist, I do that among many things. What I would do is I would first find out what your patterns are, what your behaviors are, and follow them back to an original event. There may be several events that made you start to behave this way. But what we do is we decide, you and I, we would decide on a specific events maybe when you were younger. Once we decide that, then I ask you, when did this event occur? You know, what year was it? How old were you? What time of day did it happen? Where was it located? I ask how long the event was. What's the duration of it? Like, was it 2 hours? And when did it start? When did it end? And so that trauma was within a specific time period. Some traumas are not within us. It's like some traumas happened like, 4 years of being berated by your parent or something, or sexual assault, for 4 years. So there are some traumas have a long period of time, But there are single events that happen. So what we want to do is go for a single event and follow it all the way back. So once you and I decide, okay, this is the event and we know the time, then I ask you to go to the beginning of the event. And then before you go into the traumatic part, I ask you to freeze the scene. Now, freezing the scene is really important because remember, you have suppressed all of your emotions and even your memories. So when you freeze the scene, I'm going to ask you to look around you in great detail. Tell me what you see. So as you do it, we're going into the present moment. So now you're reporting present tense. You're saying, now I see this, now I experience that, now I see that man, now this is happening, my mother this. And it's all present tense. And you're seeing all the colors, the shapes, the furniture, the landscape. And then as you talk, memories start to come to the forefront, whereas when you were recalling it before or remembering before, you didn't have any remembrance of these particular new things that are showing up. It's because we're going into detail and slowing everything down that your mind is able to recall and bring it to the surface. So this is really important. So we freeze the scene, you tell me everything. Then I say, okay, step by step, slowly go through sequentially what happened, step by step, as if in the present moment. Then now, all that suppressed emotion has a chance to come to the surface, and you can contact that which left you. The part that you cut off and left because there was no place, there was no one there to support you through that trauma. You didn't know what to do with it, so you had to just cut it off. Now we're calling it back, and I'm giving you the space to actually cry about that particular thing, to actually remember that particular point, that whatever. And now you're feeling all of those emotions that you suppressed or put away. Now what's happening is you're coming back into yourself. You're becoming a whole being. That part which was split off, disconnected, disowned, is now having an opportunity to come back and be inside of you. But the key thing here is that I am playing the role of the watcher. So you and I made an agreement that we're going to go into this horrible, bad experience, relive it again, but you're taking me with you. And I am your watcher that at that time you left behind. You left your watcher behind. You were going through the experience as if you are the experience. But now this time you're not going into that experience as if you are you are reliving it in the present moment, but with a watcher. I'm playing the role of the watcher. I'm teaching you to watch and report what's happening to me as you go through it. And this alone gives you the power to walk through life events and not get reactive, because now you're seeing that, there is a part of me that can see this, that can move through this and be detached from it, and then realize that really the whole event is not about you. But that takes time. Right now you believe it's all about you because your ego is fully involved, because the trauma happened to your body and your psyche. When we complete this whole scene, I'll ask you to give me any comments, any insights, any perceptions that you've had as a result of going through that experience. And then, of course, that's when you will start to see things and feel things and report the new things that are occurring for you. You might feel better. The other thing I'll ask you is, tell me a decision you made at that time of the event. Now, that decision could be something like, Well, I realized that in order to survive in life, I have to be a people pleaser. Maybe that would be a decision. Or another decision you might have made is that I can't trust people anymore, or I can't trust men anymore, or I can't, something like that. So now we are locating, we are identifying the belief that is now created all those patterns, all of those behavior patterns, all of those unconscious reactions in life and the triggers that you have. We are now finding the root of all of those behaviors that are not serving you anymore in life. And it's a decision which is now has turned into an attitude that you take forward into life. And when you're a child and you make these decisions, you just make these decisions. They're not necessarily the right decision, and they're not even truthful, but you just don't know what to do, so you make a decision. Now, the important thing here is that you are the one that made that decision. Up to this point, you didn't know you made a decision. You just thought life was happening to you. But this is really crucial. When you find out that you're the one that made a decision, you're the one who can backtrack that decision and make a new decision. At this point, where you thought you lost your power and you were traumatized by something happening to you, now you realize that you can get your power back by making a new decision about how you're going to move forward in life. So, yes, you can free yourself of your past trauma by finding out what that decision was where you thought you lost your power. Now you can get your power back by making a new decision. So hopefully that will help you and understand that this is how you can get free of your past trauma. Okay, that's it for today's Wisdom Wednesday. Bye.